Oh, and ironically, I'm drinking out of my Wonder Woman glass. This was totally accidental. I wish I could say that I planned it, but it just happened to be the one I pulled out of the cupboard. So here's the Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman? Wonder Woman. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. So glad to see you all once again. And if you're new here, thanks for joining us. Today, we're looking at the episode from Justice League Paradise Lost, which is the first 2 episodes of the new year, 2002. Yay, Happy New Year.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
We'll get into all of that right after my 90-second rundown of the episode. Let's go. Okay, so Batman and Superman, no, Superman and Wonder Woman go to rescue a fire truck. It's a big storm, it's a hurricane. They're trying to save the fire truck. And in the meantime, Deanna, Wonder Woman, realizes that she misses her mother. So she goes, I gotta go back. And Superman goes, yeah, you should go. Then she goes to Themyscira, and it's kind of in ruins, and all of her sisters and her mother are frozen in stone. She finds Felix Faust there, and he goes, oh, good thing you showed up. I really need some help. You gotta get the artifacts to help me find this. So she starts searching for those, and in the meantime, she meets back up with the Justice League who are going, why didn't you tell us? Why we're here to help. We can certainly help you out with this. And so when she's trying to help them, they're trying to help her. They go and they battle. Wonder Woman and Superman battle each other in a mall, and Flash and Martian Manhunter go to the Mayans and they're battling some giant snake thing. And so while they're doing that, Felix Faust is talking to his lord, which is Hades, that we find out later, but we don't find out. He's just playing right now. And so they go back and they go, well, you can't give him this key because Batman was doing some research and found out that this key is what's going to open up the doors to the underworld and bring Hades out. So he goes, you can't do that. So they come up with this plan that they're going to just give him the key, but then the Justice League will swoop in Themyscira and stop it. But in the meantime, they're battling and they're fighting, and he is able to get away. And he puts the key in the ground, he turns it. Hades comes out and he sees he does unfreeze, I forget her name, Wonder Woman's mom in the meantime. And so, holy moly. Whew, I didn't get very far at all. So what happens then is Hades comes out and they're battling with each other, and they're trying to get through, he's trying to get her back, and we just have this big battle, and then they're able to pull the key out of the keyhole, I guess, with the ground, and it sucks Hades back in, and Hippolyta is saying, oh, congratulations, Justice League, here's some rewards for your bravery, your true heroes. However, Deanna, you should have never brought the Justice League here. That breaks our rules, so you are now banished. I should be banished after that rundown.
Don't make this harder than it already is.
This episode, the cold open felt very forced. So we see there's a big storm, it's a hurricane, Superman and Wonder Woman show up to save the day, and they rescue this fire truck, and Wonder Woman goes and saves this little girl, and it makes her miss home. It makes her miss her mom. And Superman talks her into leaving.
Maybe you should go back and set things right.
It ends up being very convenient, because when she gets to Themyscira, then you see it's in ruins, and Felix Faust is there, and I feel like they could have come up with just a more intriguing open to bring Wonder Woman back to Themyscira.
My mother used to say that planets revolved around me.
And when she arrives in Themyscira, I always have trouble saying that. If I'm saying it wrong, leave a comment.
This is not your concern.
We introduce Felix Faust.
I am a humble student of the mystic art.
You know, a character that pops up in the comic books from time to time, very much a Justice League sort of villain. And I thought this was a good use for him with the mystic arts and him trying to summon Hades, and some villains are just driven by greed or revenge. He's like a scientist or a professor, and so he's just got a kind of a different angle to it.
You're not the only one with an ace up your sleeve, pal.
And this is what I really like about the Justice League cartoon, the Justice League comic books. I wish I could say the Justice League movie. I'll leave that one alone.
Remind me to never get on your bad side.
It gives the opportunity to tell stories like this that are different. We get to see a story with magic and wizards and the Greek mythology and things like that with a Wonder Woman story taking place on Themyscira. Great opportunities, because like you tune into this episode after just watching The Enemy Below, then you see a totally different thing.
Did you hear that?
And as I mentioned before, the Lord, the flame that's coming out of the ground that Felix Faust was talking to, right off the bat, easy to hear, it's John Rhys-Davies.
It's not your neck you'll need to worry about.
My services are entirely inconsequential to them.
Obviously, knowing him from Indiana Jones, and I was a big fan of Sliders in the 90s. I think that was 90s, late 90s.
You dare to challenge a god?
So we set up this plot. We're here. Go find these relics, these, what does he call them? Relics, ruins, things, pieces to this key, and I will free your family. Okay, great motivation.
Where is the Amazon princess?
We see that Wonder Woman is going off trying to do this by herself. The Justice League then sort of inserts themselves into the situation under the ruse of like,
We'll have to help you.
but it does set up this kind of neat element of them sort of pairing off and going to find these ruins. I forget what they call them.
Fragments of an ancient sacred relic.
Artifact.
Fragments.
Relic.
Fragments.
Relics?
Fragments.
Maybe. I don't know. They go off to find these pieces. And again, we get to see different heroes in different situations. I love the bit with Superman and Wonder Woman in the mall.
It's like some kind of temple.
Yes, for those who worship their credit cards.
Malls are kind of a thing of the past, so even that is dated.
It gets worse.
We have this very unique opportunity, and through the story, to set up this battle between Superman and Wonder Woman. Both heroes, wouldn't necessarily have a good reason for them to fight. I don't want to get into Batman versus Superman.
Isn't that just a myth?
Through the magic of these relics, they're only able to see these monsters that they're fighting, and they're looking for Superman and Wonder Woman, respectively, and battling Wonder Woman versus Superman. And it's a great battle, and you get to see how Wonder Woman can really go toe-to-toe with Superman. And we always think of Superman as being just invincible and indestructible. And we talked about it, how they've sort of got to downplay his powers to be able to fit within this team. And the exact same thing could be said about Wonder Woman. And I think we often forget that she's a part god. She's akin to Thor in the Marvel Universe. She is such a strong hero.
I won't be denied!
The debate can be said about this fight in particular in the mall to go, who actually won? She does kind of get the best of Superman. If we were keeping score, I'd say she won. But Superman did realize partway through that it was Wonder Woman by seeing her reflection in the water, and then he started holding back. Then he didn't want to go all in.
Let's just say I'm glad we're usually on the same team.
So the other, I almost said Avengers.
Ew.
The other League members are off fighting these creatures and trying to get the relics.
Remind me to never get on your bad side.
We have Batman doing his job, which is detective and research, and he goes to visit this professor.
No conferences without an appointment.
Great touch on the animator's part, and I don't know if this was a writing thing or an animation thing or art direction thing, but when he shows up and you just hear his voice and then the lightning creates this silhouette of the bat on the wall where the professor is standing, it's awesome. And then we turn around, we flip the camera around, and we see Batman talking and the lightning behind him. Just a great touch.
Tell me about Faust.
Then we get into part 2, which starts out the exposition, the explaining what they're trying to do with getting Hades out. And they explain this through a sort of a flashback where Wonder Woman is telling the story of Hades and her mom and all of that. It's kind of clever because they use that sort of Greek artwork there to support it, but it still just felt very exposition-y.
The gods fought back and eventually prevailed.
One of the things that I really like is that they set up, again, this moral dilemma where they go, okay, here's the options. If you give him the key to unlock Hades,
It could mean the end of the world.
but if you don't do that,
My mother and sisters will remain petrified forever.
which again, I think those stories, we talked about this in the Injustice movie, which again, you can see my review for that up here. The moral dilemma really kind of sets up these stories really well.
What are you going to do?
That's what Greek mythology was really based around, was sort of those moral dilemmas.
Now that your usefulness is over,
So yeah, Wonder Woman shows up, she gives him the key, but first,
Free my mother.
and then he unfreezes, or unstonifies, I guess not freeze, but unstonifies her mom, Hippolyta.
Hippolyta?
Why does that feel like I'm saying it wrong?
Don't ask.
And then the Justice League shows up, and boom, we're ready to fight.
You brought men here to Themyscira?
Again, Wonder Woman could take down Felix Faust. I would say, yeah, he's a wizard, or he has mystic art powers, as they say in there.
Ampeloi!
Just got to get that medallion or that amulet or whatever it is out of his hand, and then she could get him. But having said that, we have the Justice League show up, and he beats all of them and gets away.
Too late. She's gone.
I guess it could be argued that the Justice League in the continuity of the show is still fairly new and working things out, trying to figure out how they can work together and all of that sort of thing. But still, I feel like that could have been... They could have taken him, I think. He's just some scrawny guy.
S. Necropolin Elthomin!
And then obviously he frees Hades from the underworld and come out, and then a good chunk of this episode is them fighting Hades. Now, two things on this. One is, this is the part that I was going, they probably could have cut this down and spent more time with Wonder Woman, moral dilemma of freeing family or saving the world kind of thing.
No!
But at the same time, the second point to that is, it's actually very entertaining to watch the Justice League fighting a god, because we get to see a lot more dynamics in how the different fighting styles are and the different heroes, how they fight and what they do, their different powers that they use. All of that ends up being very entertaining.
Woo! Get this guy a breath mint.
However, the one thing that bothered me was once they figured out, oh, we just got to take the key out of the ground or out of the keyhole and it'll suck Hades back in. I don't know when they figured that out or how they knew that, but shouldn't that have been the focus the whole time?
Diana, destroy the key!
And the ending of this episode is really powerful. We get to see the Justice League being awarded for saving the day and being true heroes, but Hippolyta, her mom, going...
It is with a heavy heart that I must exile you.
Very emotional, great cap to this episode, and sort of, again, in the style of a Greek play, that it's a bit of a tragedy.
The fates were against us, Mother.
That kind of plays really well. And so I like those influences of Greek mythology blended into the story and even in the storytelling styles that they approach.
You can't punish her for that.
So when it comes time to rank this episode, it's really good. And I really like the different style. And I like the way that they spend more time with Wonder Woman. I think it's a great depiction of Wonder Woman and kind of pulling her out of the league a little bit so that we can see how powerful and how strong she is. There's some great lines, there's some great moments, there's some great artwork, there's some great scenes. And for all of those reasons, I rank this episode at number 2 on my list of favorite episodes. Just below The Enemy Below, simply because I don't think that Aquaman gets enough credit, and I don't think that Atlantis gets enough credit. But this does beat out In Blackest Night, which was also a very good episode, but it was just didn't move the story of the series forward as well.
You're just gonna walk away?
So I ask you, what are your favorite elements of Wonder Woman, and how do you think this depiction of her in this episode or in this series is compared to some of the other versions that we've seen? So let me know in the comment section below. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button so you can see all the episodes coming out each and every week. Well, our next episode is War World, so you don't want to miss that. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon.